Shadowed Battlegrounds presents Battle of Shiloh, a tale of friendship and survival. The Battle of Shiloh was a brutal confrontation, the air thick with smoke and the earth trembling under the roar of cannons. Thomas Green, a Confederate artilleryman, had been in the thick of it, his ears still ringing from the deafening blasts. As night fell, the fighting paused, but the groans of the wounded filled the eerie silence. Thomas, his arm wounded by shrapnel, limped back from the front lines. Each step sent jolts of pain through his body, but he pressed on, determined to find the Confederate aid station. The moon cast a pale light over the battlefield, revealing a landscape of chaos and despair. As he trudged through the trees, Thomas heard a faint, desperate call for help. Instinct told him to ignore it. His own survival depended on reaching help quickly. But something compelled him to investigate. He turned and followed the sound until he came upon a Union soldier, barely conscious, leaning against a tree. Blood stained the soldier's uniform, and his breathing was shallow. For a moment, Thomas hesitated. This was the enemy, the very man he had been fighting against. He turned to leave, but a flicker of recognition stopped him. The Union soldier's face, though gaunt and dirt-streaked, was familiar. "Sam?" Thomas whispered, kneeling beside the man. Sam Baker, his childhood friend from Tennessee, opened his eyes weakly. They had grown up together, fishing in the same streams and attending the same school. But when the war broke out, they found themselves on opposite sides. "Tommy?" Sam's voice was barely a whisper. Thomas felt a surge of emotion. The memories of their shared past overwhelmed the bitterness of their current reality. Thomas lifted Sam onto his good shoulder without another thought, gritting his teeth against the pain. They had shared too much for him to abandon his friend now. The journey to the Confederate aid station was arduous. Thomas stumbled several times, his own strength waning, but he refused to give up. The cries and explosions of the battlefield seemed distant now, his focus solely on keeping Sam alive. When they finally reached the aid station, the Confederate medics looked at Thomas with surprise and suspicion. But Thomas was adamant. "He needs help, now!" The medics, though hesitant, obeyed. They could see the desperation in Thomas's eyes and the severe condition of the Union soldier. As they worked on Sam, Thomas collapsed from exhaustion, his own wound finally taking its toll. Days passed, and Thomas recovered slowly. When he awoke, he found Sam lying in a cot nearby, bandaged but alive. The sight brought a rare smile to Thomas's face. Despite everything, they had both survived. When Sam was well enough to move, Thomas helped him prepare to return to the Union lines. It was dangerous, but they devised a plan. Under the cover of night, they slipped through the woods, avoiding patrols from both sides. Their journey was filled with whispered conversations about the past, their families, and the war that had torn them apart. Finally, they reached a point near the Union encampment. Sam turned to Thomas, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I'll never forget this, Tommy. Thank you." Thomas nodded, the weight of their situation heavy on his heart. "Stay safe, Sam. Maybe one day this will all be over, and we can go fishing again." With a final, firm handshake, they parted ways. Thomas watched as Sam disappeared into the Union lines, a sense of loss and hope mingling in his chest. The war raged on, but humanity had triumphed over hatred in that moment. As Thomas returned to his unit, he learned that even in the darkest times, the bonds of friendship and the spark of humanity could still shine through. If you like this story and want to see more, click on the icon top left. If you want to help support our channel, please Hit the subscribe button on the top left. If you have a good history idea, let us know in the comments. Thank you.